It's good, y'all. Welcome back to Niner Wire. I'm your host, Sam, and today we are back for more pregame analysis coming off the bye, man. Football is back for the Niners. Bit early doing pregame. I'll explain why in a minute, but first I want to introduce you to the guest today. We got Jordan right here. Jordan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm excited getting into this, break down this game. Big game against the Rams, who I believe are leading the division right now if you check the standings. So definitely a big game. So yeah, definitely going to be fun to talk about. Before I get into it, guys, make sure to follow me on Twitter at NinerWireSam. My Instagram's at NinerWire_YT, so make sure to follow me there. I didn't make a banner for this, but also, guys, make sure to follow Jordan. I'll put it up at the end. His ad is at @splash_cousin, so make sure to follow him there on Twitter. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything about that, you name it, make sure to leave them in the live chat. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So we're doing this a bit early because I'm going to upload some stream clips after, see how that goes. Upload. So we're going to go offensive. We're going to have a stream clip for the offense, for the defense, and then we're going to have one for key players and score predictions. So that's how we're going to roll today. So let's get into it. So to start off, Jordan, I want to hear from you. Do you have any opening thoughts on this game? Anything that you want to just get out of the way real quick?
Yeah, I think that the 49ers match up really well with the Rams. I think especially this season, Brandon Staley, the Rams' new defensive coordinator, has made a concerted effort to stop early down passing throughout the year. So what they've done versus a lot of teams is they've actually had only two or three, sometimes two, usually three guys on the line of scrimmage on the D-line, and then they're dropping more into coverage. I don't think they'll do that this week because obviously, the 49ers aren't built to kind of attack through the air on early downs. But I think that the Rams haven't had the success against the outside run, especially early on, first, second down. So I do think that the 49ers, on paper, they match up really well with the Rams. I don't think that it equates to how even they are in terms of talent, especially with how depleted the 49ers are.
Exactly.
So I think that it might feed a false sense of competitiveness that isn't actually there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think the game will be close, but I don't think that the teams are close in talent. I think the Rams are far and away the best team in the division in terms of 1 through 53. I think they're honestly one of the most complete teams in the NFC, period. But I would not be surprised if it's close. So I hope people don't get their hopes up if the 49ers are somehow able to pull out another win or they keep it close, because I just think that it's a matchup thing more than it's a talent thing.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm totally with you on that. And people, I feel like people, first of all, I don't know why I kept the banner up, but people forget that we beat this team week 6. That was 6 weeks ago. Yes, we've had a lot more injuries after that, but we played them week 6. We're getting guys like Raheem Mostert back. I know he played the first game, but he went out. He should be back. Richard Sherman could be back. This game could be, we could definitely easily win this game. And we'll talk about that later when I get to the score prediction, but you're totally right about that. We match up very well against this team. I do think they're going to make a lot of adjustments on the defense from what they usually do, as you said. So I think there's going to be a lot of matchups that are very interesting for the Niners offense and the Rams defense. I think that's when you're looking at what matchups to watch, that's probably what you're looking at. So yeah, we'll have to see there. So, all right, let's just start off with the offense, and let's start off with the offensive keys. So, my offensive key of the game is it's protect Nick Mullins at all costs. And the Rams, as you said earlier, they're one of the most complete teams in the NFL, NFC. You name it. They have one of the best defenses in the league. Let's be real. And they've done a fantastic job stopping the run, stopping the pass. This team can do it all. And as I like to say in my streams, pressure kills everything, but protection can stop that killing. And protection against Nick Mullins is going to be the most crucial part. I went with pass protection rather than run protection because I do believe the Niners can get through that. Even if there's a lack of run protection, I do believe that the Niners can get through that knowing Kyle Shanahan's system. But pass protection is going to be essential because you got Nick Mullins, who he is not. I wouldn't say he's lost, but he has not been the same that we've seen him in prior years. So I definitely think you got to protect him, make sure that he has enough time to get that ball off, get it wherever he needs to go. You got Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. I know, Dom, you say right here he could ball out. It's looking like he could be out due to COVID. We haven't heard anything on that yet. So we will keep you updated on that if something comes up, but we'll have to see what happens. I think a lot of the offense is going to go through Deebo. So there's going to be a lot of check down passes to him, maybe even deep passes. So we'll have to see what happens there. But if we don't have to deal with the pressure, if we can stop Aaron Donald like we did last time, if Brunskill can ball out, if McKivitz can ball out, first game for him, starting at right guard, if he can do that, then there's a lot more wiggle room to work with some other things and some unique plays that Kyle Shanahan's supposed to run. So definitely protection is definitely going to help this game plan, help this team succeed, and help this team get past this defense.
I agree totally. For me, I definitely think that the key is going to be first down. If the 49ers don't have positive plays on first down, and I'm not talking, a yard or two, they need 3 or 4 yards on first down if they're going to have any chance of sustaining drives. We saw last time these two teams played, the 49ers did a really good job of doing those end arounds, reverses, bubble screens, throws that were quick behind the line of scrimmage, getting the ball in their playmakers' hands. We saw Devo have a tremendous game that day, and the Rams really had no answer for it. But the problem the 49ers will have is if the Rams do have a way to stop them on those early downs, Nick Mullins going up against a front that has Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd has had a resurgence, Brockers is really good. But my concern is that it's McKivitz's first start, and he's going up against the best interior defensive lineman in the game. And we don't know for sure, but you can almost guarantee that the Rams are going to put Donald over McKivitz as many times as possible. And we saw them, they did that last year, and the 49ers won when Brunskill made his first start, and they lined him up a bunch over Brunskill and Schooley. But he still had 6 pressures and 2 sacks, and I don't think the 49ers can afford to let Donald have that kind of game. And for as much as anybody who follows me knows my opinion on Jimmy Garoppolo, for as much as I may not be totally sold on him, he is very good at getting the ball out quickly. And I think that negates a lot of the stuff that somebody like Aaron Donald does. And I don't think Nick Mullins possesses that same ability to just get the ball out quickly. So I think that the biggest key for them is going to be Kyle being at his best on first down and finding creative ways to get them into, second and third and short, rather than, because if they're sitting in third and long all night, it's going to be a long game, and there's no chance that they have of winning that game if that ends up happening. I'd also expect Jordan Reed to have a pretty big week. I haven't seen him on any, injury designations for practice, so I have to assume that his knees is back.
I saw that he was questionable on the injury report.
Okay.
So I don't know how that is. So it could be Jordan Reed, could be Ross Dwelley. We'll have to see. But I mean, kind of adding on to that, they target their tight end, whether it's Kittle, Reed, Dwelley, whoever it is, they're going to go after their tight end because they know that they're going to have to make big plays, especially what they like to use their receivers as weapons, not really receivers. The tight ends are the people that they like to use as receivers. So that whoever the tight end is, they're probably going to get at the minimum 5 targets. And that's a lot for most tight ends in the league. So they're definitely going to target, like, whether it's Reed or even like Charlie Warner or Ross Dwelley, depending on who it is, they're going to target their tight end multiple times. So that's definitely going to be something to watch. I also, before you speak, I also just want to bring up something. I know your point was like first downs and everything. It's going to be very interesting to see that. That's definitely a very interesting key, because I know you mentioned third down. The Niners, like, if you can't get that third and long, because this Niners team, and this just baffles me every week, but they just like to run conservative plays on third down. Just like it's third and long, it's a close game, and they'll just do a handoff to Raheem Mostert, which doesn't really make sense. It somehow worked on a 3rd and 31 to Jerick McKinnon, which I don't get, but most of the time it's not going to work. So you definitely have to get those first downs, first and second downs, really. Those are the crucial plays you have to get. Plus, I feel like our third down rate, I don't know the exact stats for this, but our third down rate has not been that good this year, especially with Mullins at the helm. So getting that first and second down is going to be crucial for this team. I know they like to go run first. They don't really like to chuck it out first. They don't really like to be aggressive on first down. It's usually second down where they try to go big or do something. And then third down, I mean, I don't know. It depends on what you're going to get. Depends on what the score is. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But if you can get those first downs, this game is going to be a cakewalk.
And I could be off slightly, but I saw a stat that in 2019, they ran the ball on first down 51% of the time. And they averaged 4.3 yards a carry on first down running the ball, which is incredible because it sets you up, obviously, you're in 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, which makes the play calling much easier. This year, I believe they're running the ball 51% of the time, again, on first down, but it's at 3.1 yards a carry. And it's clear that they're not getting that early down advantage by putting the offense in 2nd and 5. Because, when they're sitting in 2nd and 5, 3rd and 3 or whatever, it keeps the defense on its heels because they can't sell out versus the pass or the run. They have to respect both, which is when we saw those huge chunk plays off of play action last year. And I just don't think that defenses have to respect that as much this year because the offense isn't, the oiled machine that we saw it was last year. So I do definitely think that detriment of not being able to run as successfully on first down is trickling down to the rest of the play calling in general, because they're, even when they're sitting in 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4, teams aren't really having to respect that, the draw or, the RPOs aren't as successful as they were last year. And I think Shanahan honestly deserves a lot of credit for the fact that he's still being able to put up points no matter who goes down. For the most part, they're still scoring points. And I don't think people understand how hard it is to score points on an NFL defense with a healthy roster. But to do it with guys who are, coming off the practice squad every week and who wouldn't be starting for you in an ideal world where you're, totally healthy. I think that Shanahan deserves a lot of credit for that. But it's going to be interesting. He needs to really be in his bag, I think, this week if they're going to have any chance. He's going to have to dial up some really good stuff early to put them in a position to continue to sustain drives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only just this week he has to be in his bag. I feel like for the rest of the year he kind of has to do that. I mean, with all the injuries, like Jimmy Garoppolo will probably come back, but the loss of Kittle has just it's definitely hurt the run game. It hurt the run game last year. It's doing it again. The receiving game, they have to rely on other guys that they wouldn't really want to rely on. So, I mean, it's definitely, he has to be in his bag every game. It's definitely going to be a difficult challenge throughout the year for Kyle Shanahan. And that's why everyone's really thinking, what's next? Who are we drafting? Usually you're not thinking about that by week 12. You're thinking about, okay, how do we make the playoffs? How do we get that top seed? And how are we reaching the Super Bowl? Not thinking about the draft right now. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they approach this game because, you might want to go aggressive this game against a Rams defense that's really tough. You're going to have to capitalize on all those opportunities. And then you have to, on the other side, the offense, which kind of leads us to a good segue into the Rams offense. They've been putting up pretty good stats too. Let's not going to lie right there. So let's talk about the Rams offense real quick. My key to the game, and I've been saying this almost every week now, just keep the ball moving. I've said this for almost every team that the Niners has played now, maybe like half. I can't count. I think this was my Rams offensive key for the last game that we played them too. And this defense, with no Nick Bosa, no D Ford, you might get Sherman back. No Quan. Quan obviously got traded. You're starting Aziz Al-Shaair now. This defense doesn't have that much stamina or strength to make those consistent stops and get off the field quick like we did last year. This defense is a completely different defense. There's a lot of adjustments that have been made by Robert Saleh. He didn't, at the beginning of the year, he didn't really do that once Bosa went down, but now he's been kind of having to do that. Everyone's trying to adapt to a new system. So it's definitely really interesting to see what's going on in this team, but they got to stop everything. Just make sure to get the Rams offense off the field as quickly as possible. That's really the only thing you have to do. Short games, long games, really anything is going to kill this defense if this team is on the field. The more time they're on the field, the more detrimental it is to the 49ers defense. So my Rams key to the game, keep the ball moving. There's going to be a lot of pieces doing that, whether it's Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, you name it. There's just a ton of pieces for that. So that's my offense key to the game for the Rams.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely getting the run game going. If they're able to get the run game going, because so much of what they do, as we know, McVay and Shanahan came from the same, offensive school of thought, basically. They both run the same outside zone. If they can get that run going consistently, then it puts Jared Goff in a position where he's not having to overthink things. And I think that, there's a lot of similarities between both offenses. I think there's a lot of similarities between both quarterbacks. I definitely think that Garoppolo and Goff both, excel when the run game's working and they're able to throw off a play action, kind of dissect a defense that way. I definitely think that Goff has, he has a lot more arm talent than I think people are willing to give him credit for, because when the run game isn't really working and he's forced to drop back, he makes a lot of, just decisions where you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know.
But he is also, he was the number one pick for a reason. And I'm a little biased. I'll be honest. I'm a Cal Bear fan. Like I don't like rooting for other players, so I'm not rooting for Jared Goff. But I definitely appreciate the guy's talent. I think he went number one overall for a reason. And I think the key is that the 49ers did a good job last time where they were kind of throwing different blitz packages at him, and they weren't letting him know what was coming pre-snap, because I think the 49ers and Rams offense they have such good play callers in McVay and Shanahan where they almost know what the defense is going to be coming with, especially when they're able to, dissect that pre-snap. And I think we saw a lot last time when they played on Sunday night earlier in the year. Goff was throwing the ball to there wasn't a Rams receiver within 10 yards of the area. So whether it was miscommunication or just confusion, if they're able to, disguise some blitz packages and mix things up a little bit, I think that'll be key. Because just like you said, I think that the Rams honestly have the best wide receiver tandem in football. I think that Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are so underrated. Van Jefferson's a really good rookie too. He just got his first touchdown last week.
Josh Reynolds too. That's another threat that's been he's been picking up a lot of steam lately, just getting those targets, I should say.
And if they're able to get rolling and get the run game going, I think it's going to be a long day for the 49ers. I'm not sure. I know that I haven't seen yet today. I'm sorry, because I've been super busy. I didn't see if they pulled Sherman activated him off the IR.
I haven't heard anything. I think the assumption was that him and Mostert would come off of IR. The only thing I've heard today is about the Niners is the COVID news where they can't practice or play at Levi Stadium for the next 3 weeks, which is
that's crazy.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, that's obviously a big thing. Doesn't impact this game, but it's definitely going to impact mainly the Washington game and the Buffalo game. Those are the next two games. So Buffalo, Washington, I mean, they're going to have to find somewhere else to practice, to play. We might be heading out to Buffalo in next week, which Buffalo in December, that's never a good trip to go on. So the season's just been throwing so many curveballs at us. And I think, again, this is another one. The Rams are a lot better than we thought they were. We thought going into this game, I think most fans thought going into this game, they were confident that this game, we could definitely win this game. We'll have a legit chance at winning this game. This should be a sea of red in SoFi Stadium. And now there's no fans. I mean, the team's injured to hell. There's nothing really we can do about it other than just persevere, fight through the season. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of news coming out about everything. But to your point about the Rams offense, you say Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, one of the most underrated receiver cores in the league. I'm totally with you on that, man. And the Niners defense, they locked them up pretty well last time, but it's always Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods have been getting better throughout the year. They've been putting out more stats. They've been targeted more. Goff has looked a little bit better throughout the season has gone. Still, there are some inconsistencies with him, but he's still a good quarterback. Let's be real here. Jared Goff is a good quarterback who can lead a team. I mean, he led a team to the Super Bowl. So any quarterback that can do that is pretty much a good quarterback, even if his name is Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you led your team to Super Bowl, you're still a good quarterback. You can do the job. I mean, this Rams offense is definitely underrated. Probably one of the most underrated teams in the league because you got Seattle in the division, you got Arizona in the division. Those are the two fun teams to watch, I guess. And then there's the Rams, who are sneakily in first place. This offense is no joke, man. This team is legit. And the Niners are going to definitely have to stop them on offense, see what happens there. Because, the Rams offense, they could do some serious damage to us. They have a lot more offensive firepower than us with a depleted defense. I mean, as I said, if the Rams keep the ball moving, we could be very much in trouble. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I think too, the Rams have been very consistent for most of the year, and they've been very balanced, which is where I think it kind of gets lost for people. Because just like you said,
absolutely,
Seattle has this amazingly potent offense, but their defense, you never know if their defense might give up 40 on a given week. Yeah, same with Arizona. They have, Kyler Murray's so fun to watch. Hopkins is one of, if not the best receiver in football. They score all these points, but the Rams have quietly been very good on both sides of the ball. And I haven't seen the numbers from this week, but I've been keeping track, for most of the year for defensive and offensive EPA per play, and which is expected points added. And the Rams have been one of the few teams, I know them and the Steelers consistently have been one of the few teams that's had a negative EPA per play on defense, which is what you aim for. It's less points for the other team. And then they've had a positive EPA per play on offense at the same time. And they're one of few teams that throughout the year has done that I had some discussions with some people after the first game where they didn't think the Rams were a great football team. And I was trying to tell them, the numbers say otherwise. It's still early. The sample size could change. But based on these analytics, they are good on offense. They're good on defense. But as the weeks went on, I think looking back on it, it just was a matchup problem, I think, where I guess the Niners
probably. That's what I assume.
Yeah, and divisional games too. You never know with divisional games. Like you remember the year
always the most crucial games of the year for any team.
In 2016, I believe, the 49ers were 2-14 and they beat the Rams both of those games.
Twice, yeah.
And the Rams were the better team, but they still, I still think they were only like 4-12 or something. If I remember, but
yeah, they won something like that.
They lost both those games to the 49ers, and I think that was the year week one, the Niners blew them out on
Monday Night Football. Yeah. That's when like people were starting talking about like, are the Niners good or the Rams just bad, man? And then we lose the next 15, like 13 straight 14, or something like that.
Straight, yeah.
Yeah, 13 straight, and then we beat them week 16, finished week 17 with an L to Seattle. But yeah, man, these rivalries, I mean, they're always fun to watch because I feel like this game in particular, you never know what's going to happen. Like, I feel like for some reason, Seattle and Arizona, I always have the feeling that the other team's going to win that game. Like the Cardinals, I feel like just own our franchise. They always have our number. Seattle's been Seattle for the past 2 years. The Rams and Niners games are always toss-up games usually. So definitely going to be interesting to watch. But yeah, man, if this offense keeps it going, and this game could get out of hand for the Niners, but we'll have to see what happens. So yeah, for sure. You got anything else to talk about the offense before we move to defense?
Just that I hope that they have a plan to utilize the running backs a little bit better. I don't know if Mostert's a full go. I'm almost positive he's going to be active, but
yeah, he might not be 100%. So
I think that they need to figure out a way to put Jerick McKinnon in better positions to succeed, because I think just having him run at a stacked box at this juncture is it's not doing anyone any good. Mm-hmm. I'm far from the person to question professionals, let alone Kyle Shanahan, who's I think is one of the best play designers in the league. But I have wondered on occasion what he is thinking, utilizing the running backs at certain points.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And I think if I recall, they ran Debo. I think it was the New England game. They ran a couple tosses with Debo in the backfield. So if Debo's healthy and he's good to go, what do you have to lose? I think that they need to just get a little bit more creative with the use of the running game, especially if it is just McKinnon and Mostert basically being expected to carry the load this week. I think they definitely need to figure out a way, and maybe give Juszczyk a few carries. You got to get creative at this point. But yeah, I think that's just the last thing I would say is hopefully that they get a little bit more creative with how they're going to be utilizing the running game.
For sure. And before we move on to defense, you mentioned Deebo Samuel. If Ayuk's out, which is looking like it, the offense is going to run through Deebo Samuel. Mm-hmm. Like they're going to utilize him a lot. They're going to have a lot of game plan. And even if Deebo Samuel's out and Ayuk's in, it's going to run through Ayuk, because I think Deebo Samuel is still questionable at this point. Mm-hmm. Last I checked. And if they're both out, then this offense, they're going to have to figure something else out. Maybe Richie James has a big week, or I don't know what happens, but
River Craycraft.
River Craycraft. There you go, man. There you go. Big week for River Craycraft. Jordan Matthews fresh out. I don't even know if he's allowed to play this week, as we just signed him. But that just goes to show how our injuries have been this year. But yeah, Deebo Samuel could have a very big part in this game. So definitely a guy to watch out for. All right, let's move on to the defense. Let's start with my key, the defensive key. I got for the Niners, for the 49ers, I got the pass defense. And as I said, we were talking about Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods on the offensive key of the game for the Rams. And those are definitely, as you said, best receiver tandem in the league. And I would say the Rams run game hasn't been the best this year. They've kind of tried to mix it up a little bit, but those three running backs have not been good. Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown. Not good, but like okay. They've been mediocre at best. Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, Cam Akers hasn't really done anything. We'll have to see what happens with that. But last time the Niners did fare pretty strong against that run. And the pass game is definitely another story. You got Kupp, Woods, as I just said. Niners did handle them well, but this game especially, they're going to have to handle them well, because I think that's where most of the focus is going to go on for the Rams offense. So I think you definitely got to lock up those guys. Richard Sherman could be back. I have him in the thumbnail of this video. Jamar Taylor. I think Jamar Taylor could have a big part in the next few games, especially with K1 being suspended. But we'll have to see where that goes. Mosley obviously going to be starting out, and then I can't even count the injuries at this point. Who is even our cornerback 3? It's like Dante Johnson, or I can't even count. Witherspoon could get some action, but Verrett. Why am I blanking out on that? It's Jason Verrett. But yeah, man, pass defense definitely my key to the game. Probably I'm looking more in the secondary than the pass rush, but obviously, as I say, pressure kills everything. So, I mean, it's both parts could have a very equilibrium of some stuff. So definitely watch out for the pass defense, because that's where the Niners got to focus on for this game.
Yeah, I think that the play of the safeties is going to be really important, because a lot of what the Rams do is they pound the ball early and then they take deep shots down the field. And it was very interesting because I know a lot of fans were, clamoring for Tarvarius Moore to start in place of Marcel Harris
and Jimmy. I think it was Jimmy Ward, not Harris, that they were.
I saw if the New Orleans game they had Ward and Moore out on the field at the same time a few times.
Oh, all right, that's because I was the one. I'm the one saying start Moore over Ward, which is it's a bold take, but I do think that the Niners can move forward with that. But I haven't heard Ward and Harris, but
so the thing that they would I agree. I think the problem is that Jimmy Ward provides them so much versatility. He literally has lined up at every position within the defense except for interior defensive line. He's lined up at the slot. He's lined up out wide at cornerback. He's lined up at safety. He's lined up at strong safety. He's lined up, even at like what you consider a linebacker spot. And they've done a lot better job this year. And it's more out of necessity, I think, than out of want to do so. Last year, they had such a good defensive line. They were able to drop 7 and then run stunts with 4 guys on the line. And they were getting as much pressure as some teams get blitzing 6 or 7 guys, because the D line was that good. And it allowed them to get very elementary with their coverages, because quarterbacks wouldn't have time to. They couldn't. It didn't matter if they knew where the routes were going to go. It didn't matter if they knew where the soft spot in the zone was going to be, because they just flat out didn't have time to get it there. This year, they obviously don't have that luxury with how depleted the D line is. So what Saleh, I've noticed, has been doing a lot is he's been, running these blitzes where he has Ward and Warner kind of at the line of scrimmage, and then one of the guys will end up blitzing. One of them will look like he's blitzing, and then he'll drop back into a soft zone over the middle.
I've been seeing that a lot too.
Those crossing routes. And I think that, as the season has gone on, teams have seen it on tape. They're getting more used to it. But early on, they're having a lot of success doing that. And I think that Ward's versatility is why the team values him so much, because he can line up at slot corner, because he can go out wide, because he can take tight ends man-to-man. Because I know a lot of people are upset and they think, he has very low I think he has like 2 career interceptions.
Yeah, it's pretty low. So
I know people have an issue with that, but I think the team they clearly value him. They gave him a big contract.
They've kept him here, longest tenured Niner on the team. So that goes to show that this team values him.
So I think his play will be especially key. I also think the interior defensive line play, Kevin Givens has been really good this year. I think if Givens and Kinlaw, I've been a big supporter of Kinlaw. I think that people expected way too much from him way too soon. No real off season. It was all virtual. The guy was taking over for a perennial, Pro Bowler, All Pro last year, and DeForest Buckner. And it was unrealistic. Almost every scouting report I read on him coming out of college was that the guy was just a mammoth of a human being, just a monster of a human being. But his technique was raw. And, and the little, tape that I was able to watch of him at South Carolina and stuff I saw he was repetitively just bullying the opposing offensive linemen. He was bull rushing them and knocking them over. And it wasn't as much, as technique fueled as it was just, he was such a big human being that he was just knocking people over. And unfortunately at the NFL level, that's not going to work, because the guys on the other side of the ball are, just as big. Sometimes, they're just as good at athletes. And I think that that's where there's been some problem, because there's plays you see where he gets off the snap and he's knocking guys back and you can see that brute strength. But there's also times where I'm seeing, offensive linemen are getting into his pads and kind of just stonewalling him. But he's going to get better with time, with more technique. And I think that that's starting to show. And I was so happy he got, I think he finished with 1.5. He got credited with a half a sack, but he definitely got his own first career sack against the Saints.
Definitely.
And it was really good to see because that was one knock on him that I kept seeing all year.
Like this guy can't get to the quarterback or anything like that.
And it's ridiculous because if you compare his numbers to elite defensive linemen, they don't look great because the guy's a rookie. He's still, there's a learning curve. But if you compare his numbers to interior defensive linemen that were drafted in this past draft, the only guy who's ahead of him in almost any category is Derek Brown on the Panthers, who was drafted, I think, 6th or 7th overall. He was drafted
7th, and he's been balling out. And he was also the consensus top defensive lineman in this draft. Defensive tackle. Chase Young's obviously the top defensive lineman, but Derek Brown for defensive tackle, it was the consensus number 1. Kinlaw was number 2.
And Kinlaw's really not that far behind him, too. And that's the thing, is Kinlaw's been chasing him. So I think people need to temper their expectations a little bit and understand that the whole, and like Armstead too. Armstead's been getting dragged a bunch. The whole plan I think they had with Armstead was that they valued his ability to play defensive end on base downs against the run because he's so good against the run. Yeah. And then they could slot him inside when they'd bring in the turbo unit for passing downs. And the fact that Bosa and Ford are out, Armstead's
has just killed him this year.
Yeah, and I know people say, well, you shouldn't pay a guy that much money who's being dependent on other players to succeed. And I get that to an extent, but I think just like we were talking about with Jimmy Ward, the team clearly values versatility, I think, with these guys, where they value a player's ability to move inside, to play multiple positions. And I think that it's hurting what their vision was for this team because it's very clear to see. And it's also, too, the numbers look bad going forward because Buckner's cap hit really isn't that bad. Armstead's kind of is. But if you look at just this season, what they did was they were trying to go all in a year after they just went to the Super Bowl. They were like, we were so close to winning it. Let's just run it back. We'll bring back, I think they brought back 19 out of the 22 starters.
Sanders, Joe Staley, and Buckner. That was it. Yeah. So and then everyone got hurt, and that's why we're not here today.
And that's why, and the thing is if they didn't do that, if they did just, let a bunch of these guys go and they weren't very good, and let's say the injuries didn't happen, but the Niners just were kind of, in the same position because they didn't pool all their resources into going all in, people would be super upset. And they'd be like, well, why didn't they go back? Why didn't they go all in? They just were in the Super Bowl. So it's kind of, they're in a position where they can't really please everyone. And I respect the fact that they at least tried.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
The issue that I have is that they freed up some space right before, I think it was the first week of September. And they had an out on D Ford's contract after this year, and they restructured with him, and they basically they moved up a signing bonus. They spread a bunch of his cap hit across the next 3 seasons. So they almost have to keep him. They can cut him in this coming off season, but I believe it'll cost them $14 million in dead cap. So they'd save 6 because he's due to make 20. So, but you're paying a guy $14 million against the cap to not play for you. And I know a lot of people
killed this team.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people have a problem with D4, but the blame kind of needs to be on the 49ers here because the guy had injury issues. He had one full I think he had maybe 2 fully healthy seasons in Kansas City. And one of them was really good. It was the year before the Niners got him, and it was clear that he had, he's one of the fastest guys. Yeah, fastest guys I've seen off the edge. But the 49ers invested $85 million was his original contract in a guy that had a pretty broad injury history. And it's kind of, as Niners fans, we all know how it was with Trent Baalke when he's drafting a guy with a torn ACL every year. You kind of take a risk when there's a reason that a team that was 1 play away from the Super Bowl and the Chiefs in 2018 was willing to take a 2nd round pick for what's a premier position, and then willing to spend their own first. And I believe they gave up a 1st and a 2nd to get Frank Clark from Seattle. So there was kind of a red flag. And as much as people want to get on D4, D4 is not choosing to be hurt. He doesn't want to be injured,
Who would do that? That doesn't make sense.
And that's the kind of the attitude that I see from a lot of people, that it's just and I'm sure that's not how they feel, but it comes across that way. And at the end of the day, a lot of these guys, I know a lot of them do it just for the paycheck, but most of these guys love the game of football. They're not going to be out there risking that kind of punishment to their own well-being. They don't love the game of football. And, I'm not trying to have, a pity party for D Ford, but I think people need to lighten up a little bit and understand that the guy is not choosing to be hurt. I just think that he has a very serious, back injuries are no joke. It's a very serious thing. And it's something that they need to figure out going forward, because they built the grand point I'm getting to is they built so much of the team going forward on having Bosa on the rookie deal for 3 more years beyond this, having Kinlaw on a rookie deal for 4 more years beyond this, and being able to absorb the big cap hits that Ford and Armstead would be making. But when you take away Ford and you now are wondering what Bosa is going to look like after the ACL, because there was reports there was still cartilage damage. It wasn't a clean ACL tear.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And I think people need to understand that that's not just, I've seen so many people just, oh, they're just going to be healthy next year and they're going to run it back. That's not how it works. You know, you need to understand that injuries are such a
detrimental part to this team.
It's such a variable. You never know. Every injury is totally different. You know, Adrian Peterson tore his ACL and he ran for almost 2,000 yards the next year. He might have, I forget if he got over 2,000, but it was
something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy. And you know, it's come a long way, but I just think it's ridiculous to expect that they'll do that. So I think that the D-line this year has suffered so much because it's just gotten depleted at such it's something nobody could have predicted. It's, you know, it's any given Sunday. You always, you know, have to prepare for the worst and expect and hope for the best. But they just got decimated, and they got decimated at what was the strength. I have never seen a defensive line rush 4 and get the pressure that they got, like last year. And this year, I've never seen so many guys go down at so many key positions for a team that was so set up to have immediate success.
Exactly. And kind of adding on to that, like the game plan last year ran through our defensive line. They can't do that this year. And that's why this defense has struggled so much. And this kind of goes back to your key to the defense for the Niners, the safety play. Usually they're trying to get the guys up front to do well, but now you're looking at the back guys to do well. They're called the safety for a reason. They're trying to keep this defense safe from the long distance plays. And the safeties, I mean, they're going to be crucial. They're guys that can be going all around the field, kind of like with the linebackers. They're going to be going all around the field. There's going to be, I mean, you need those safeties to perform. They've been doing a solid job of that this year. I like how I'm seeing from Marcel Harris, Tarvarius Moore. It's just been so hard with the defensive line being out and adjusting to that. And I think after the bye, you get a bye. Now you can focus on this Rams game. This is going to be a huge game for the Niners and their safeties after the bye, especially to just focus on this defense, which they probably did throughout the week. They focused on how this back line is going to get the stops that this team needs. So definitely a very key point for the Niners is the safety play and making sure that the pass defense and just long gains are just going to kill this team as they have in the past. You can't have those long gains. So safety play is going to be crucial for the 49ers this week.
And I think you made a really good point about the bye. Sorry, real quick. The Niners definitely had some extra time, obviously, to prepare. I know it's been thrown off with everything going on, but that is something that definitely should help keep what we were talking about earlier in the show about how the game might appear a little bit closer than the talent gap is between the two teams.
Yeah,
sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're all good. I like that point a lot because I mean the bye definitely. I mean you go off a bye going into a division opponent. You're gonna have time to focus on that division opponent. And yes, there's been so much going on. There was a COVID outbreak within the team that absolutely no one's talking about. I mean, this game could be a real challenge for the Niners, but people are at home. They're hopefully not going out because, I mean, we need those guys can't get COVID. So they're probably focused on the Rams film that they were provided, and they're going to watch that film and ball out, just capitalize on what they see right there. This game could have a completely different story from what most are predicting. So we'll have to see how that goes for this defense and the offense while we're at it right now. For the Rams defense, I want to start with you. What's your key for the Rams defense this game?
For me, it's simple. They just need to figure out a way to stop the 49ers. Kind of reverse what we were talking about earlier. They need to figure out a way to stop them early and get them into 3rd and long, where it's going to put them in obvious passing situations. Because I think it was kind of fluky last game. You know, I had fun joking about it. I know a lot of people did about how Brunskill owns Aaron Donald and all that. But I think it was so much because of the game plan. It's hard to sack the quarterback when the quarterback's getting the ball out in a second and a half, 2 seconds. It's almost impossible. So if I'm the Rams, I'm getting the 49ers into situations where they won't be able to run those quick little screens and run, you know, I don't want to say gimmicky stuff because it's not gimmicky, but running. They need to get them in a position where they're going to be in straight dropbacks and they know the pass is coming, because the Rams quietly have a really good secondary too. I think John Johnson's one of the best safeties in the league, and people rarely seem to talk about him for whatever reason. I know Ramsey gets a lot of the credit on that defense, but John Johnson is very good too. I think that Leonard Floyd has had a very good year. He's definitely rebounded and showed why he was a first-round pick when he got drafted by the Bears. So I think the key for them is just to get the 49ers into obvious passing downs and then just kind of suffocate the Niners with the good pass rush that they can generate. I think Donald's going to end up with a couple sacks in this game, truthfully.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's some motivation from the last time. And I just, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Colton McKivitz proves me wrong, but there's no shame in a rookie getting beat by, honestly, truthfully, one of the best defensive linemen I've ever seen.
Ever in NFL history. Let's be real. In NFL history, Aaron Donald definitely going to be a threat to this pass rush, run rush, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, man, the resurgence of this defense has been definitely something incredible to watch this year. Lots more pressure, lots more on the defensive side. I mean, as I said, pressure kills everything. And if they're going to get the pressure, the Niners are going to have to just chuck it up to their secondary. And there's no chance that Nick Mullins under pressure is going to make those perfect throws, the pinpoint perfect throws. And the secondary is not going to capitalize on that opportunity to, whether it's stop it, get it, you name it. The pressure is going to kill everything for the 49ers if they're providing it. And your defensive key kind of goes hand in hand with my defensive key, just stopping the run. And kind of with the pressure, just Nick Mullins has kind of struggled in the pass game when under pressure and when not under pressure. So they're going to be relying on the run. The Niners, I expect the Niners to be relying on the run a lot and they're just going to try to get that early lead, which they have been doing, mind you. They kind of did that against Green Bay. They did that against New Orleans. They came back against Seattle, didn't get the early lead with Mullins, and then the Giants game, get that early lead. Same with I don't think they led in the Eagles game, but they're still trying to get out early, get the passes early, wake up this defense, just catch this defense when they're asleep, and then just run from there. Because that's what the Niners can do with Kyle Shanahan when healthy. And stopping the run for the Rams, if they can do that, then the Niners, I mean, they're going to have a lot of problems in the passing game and the run game. I mean, I expect a few problems in the pass game. Let's be real. The run game, I don't expect too many problems, but the Rams can easily capitalize on those opportunities to stop this run game and make this game completely different. And I mean, honestly, like if they force us to pass, our game plan could really be fucked up because I expect Kyle Shanahan to have a lot of plays in the run game instead of the pass game because in my opinion, their pass defense has been better than their run defense. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to stop this run because it's crucial to their defense to stop the run, and it's crucial to our offense to keep that run going. So yeah, stopping the run, definitely my Rams defensive key for this game. For sure. You got anything else on the defensive side?
Just like I said, I think just the thing to watch for is how Aaron Donald's going to be moved all over the line. I think that they're going to work him, obviously, a little bit at McKivitz. I think they'll move him at Schooley. And I hate to say it, too, they're probably going to put him on right over Mike McGlinchey at right tackle a couple times, too.
That could be a very rough challenge for the 49ers.
So I mean,
Mike, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's gonna be tough. No matter who he lines up over, it's gonna be tough.
Absolutely, for sure. I'm totally with you. And speaking of key players like Mike McGlinchey, like Aaron Donald, let's get into that right now. So I'll start with my 49ers key players. I got a lot usually I always got a lot for the Niners, a little for the other team, but for the Niners, I got a fair amount this week. I got Nick Mullins. I mean, as I've been saying, like the passing game, he's really got to step it up there. He's struggled in the pass game so far this year. He's really going to have to step it up. It's that simple. Raheem Mostert as the running back. Obviously, I said the Niners are going to run the ball a lot. Obviously, I said the Niners are going to run the ball a lot. Mostert, or whoever it is, I can't count the injuries at this point, but I'm expecting it to be Raheem Mostert this week. So we'll see how that goes. I mentioned this earlier, Deebo Samuel, if Brandon Ayuk is out, which is looking likely, a lot of the offense going to run through him. So Deebo Samuel, expect the ball in his hands often this week. And then just the right side of the offensive line. As we've been saying throughout the week, the left side, they've looked pretty good. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this, but Trent Williams is also, I think he's looking out this week. I haven't heard the up down on him. There's a possibility he plays, but Not 100% sure. So we could have Justin School in there too. I'll throw him out there too. But mainly the right side. McGlinchey has been struggling. McKivitz is making his first start. Aaron Donald should be on that side. If you're the Rams, you want Aaron Donald on that side for sure. So Aaron Donald on that side, probably going to happen. So right side's got to step it up. On defense, I have Javon Kinlaw. Obviously, he had a phenomenal game last week. You mentioned him, one of your favorite players on this team. I believe he can build off this game, and if he does, it could be detrimental to the Rams offense. And then I'm going to go with the cornerbacks, Sherman, possibly back, Mosley, Jamar Taylor. Those are the guys I'm mainly focusing on. They're going to be covering the Rams receivers, and I believe the Rams are going to use the passing game a lot. So we'll see what has to happen with that. As for the Rams key players, I got 4 guys: Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. All 4 of those guys are going to be key to the Rams. Whether on offense and defense, Kupp and Woods, I mean, they could really torch the secondary, which is going to be a very scary sight for the 49ers. Donald could torch our line. Ramsey could torch our receivers. There's going to be a lot going on. Look, Adrian right here says Ramsey's going to lock up Debo. That could very well happen. I don't know if it's going to happen necessarily, but Ramsey has been arguably the best cornerback in the league this year. Mm-hmm. And that's always a scary sight to see. So those 4 guys, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, are going to get a lot of work this game. A lot of the Niners are going to focus on those guys a lot this game is what I'm assuming. So those 4 are my key players for the Rams.
Yeah. Do you want me to start with the Rams or 49ers?
Up to you, man.
I'll do 49ers first. So my first one, it might be a little different, maybe people wouldn't expect, is actually Laken Tomlinson. Mm-hmm. Because with the injuries and the COVID issue going on with Trent Williams, which I hope he's recovering well. Best wishes to him. Laken Tomlinson is kind of the senior guy on that offensive line. I know McGlinchey has the captain's badge, but Tomlinson has been, while his play may not have been elite, he's been consistent and he's been there. He hasn't been injured. He's been there. He played all, but I believe 2 snaps last year at left guard.
Yeah.
He's been there consistently this year. He gives them some semblance of consistency, and a lot of times, not just in football and anything in life, when you have consistency with something, there's a comfort level that's there. So I think that's one of him and McGlinchey both, I guess I'll say will be my keys, but specifically Tomlinson, especially with what the Rams like to do with Brockers and Donald on the inside. I think he will be a key. I definitely think McGlinchey is going to need to be a key here. McGlinchey's been very good at run blocking. I think so much of his pass blocking woes get magnified that it leads people to either not care or just forget about how good he is run blocking. But he's going to need to be able to hang in there and give Mullins. I don't think that he's not giving effort on other weeks, but he's going to need to give a little extra effort this week. He's going to need to, kind of look within and find something. Mm-hmm. And then, so basically, the offensive line is the main thing for me. I think the skill position guys, everything, they kind of, it's going to be dictated by what the line does. So I would say that those 2 guys on the offensive line for sure. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think that Kerry Hyder is one. Kerry Hyder has been one of the best stories of the season. And if he's able to generate pressure off the edge and, force Goff into some uncomfortable situations, I think it's going to be very beneficial to them. And I think Dre Greenlaw is another one. Is he off the injury designation now too? I know he was dealing with
believe he is. Okay. Yeah, I think he was back last week. I could be wrong, but I believe he's back.
Okay, so Greenlaw is another one because the 49ers as much as he brought off the field in terms of Quan Alexander and as much as what he brought off the field and the energy and just the overall, the Hot Boys stuff, the legendary stuff, all the energy that he brought to that team. He was also really, really good in pass coverage. And, people talk about his missed tackles and, it's an issue for sure. I believe he's missed more tackles than anyone since he's been in the league. But a lot of it is because he's so high energy. He's going sideline to sideline. Mm-hmm. And he's in position to make tackles that, normally a player that would start in his position wouldn't be doing. And I think that as good as Greenlaw is at it's funny. Their strengths and weaknesses, in my opinion, almost offset each other, like almost opposites. Like Greenlaw is a very good tackler. He's very good against the run, but he kind of gets, he falls off a little bit in pass coverage. Whereas I think Quan
Absolutely.
Alexander is, elite at covering, but he falls off a little bit in that run game sometimes, but it's going to be imperative that Greenlaw is able to not bite on the play action stuff, because as we've seen the Niners do, like I said, they both have very similar offenses, the Niners and the Rams. And when you're able to get that weak side linebacker to bite on the play action, so many things open up over the middle of the field. And, I'm not as concerned about Warner, because Warner's just been so darn good all year that my concern level with him isn't as high. Greenlaw's obviously filled in tremendously last year. I was there in Seattle when he made that stop. I was at
Oh man,
C-Link.
that must have been an
Yeah.
experience.
Oh, it was something one of the best games I've ever seen, hands down.
Yeah.
So, I know he's been there for big moments, and I know he's, got it in him, but I think that there's a lot of pressure that may not have been talked about with the team shipping off Quan and just kind of being like, hey, like, you're the guy now. Because it's a little different when you're,
I'm totally with you on that.
filling in as like a rookie and you're making plays because not much is expected of you. I think the expectation level for him has risen. So I think a key for him will definitely be if he's able to hang in there, like I said, not bite on the play action. If he's asked to cover Higbee or Everett at the tight end positions, I think that'll be a huge game for his growth if he's able to demonstrate that he has the ability to. I don't think he'll be as good as Quan, and that's no knock on Greenlaw, because Quan is that good, and that's part of the reason why the Niners gave him the amount of money they did when they signed him. But if he's able to kind of meet them halfway, if that makes sense, and provide sufficient coverage in the pass game, I think that it gives the 49ers a tremendous chance to win the game, because the Rams run so many crossing routes and so much stuff over the middle with Kupp and Woods that it's going to be imperative that the linebacker play is at a high level if they're going to have a chance to win.
Yeah, for sure. And then what you got for the Rams?
And then for the Rams, I got Goff first of all, because Goff, he reminds me so much of Jimmy. It's so funny because he has these moments.
I know, exactly. I'm totally with you on that.
He has these moments where he's like, it's like, wow, like, what a throw. Like, it's incredible. He's leading this offense. He's got this machine that's, fueled by the run game, but, he's still conducting it. And then he has these throws where you're like, what was he thinking? What were you throwing to? And I think that this is going to be, unfortunately, as a 49ers fan, I think this is going to be a game where Goff is going to, kind of show out a little bit. And I think he's going to have a lot of stuff open up because of the run game. So I think it's on him to not make bad turnovers. Like that interception that he threw last time was in the red zone to Verrett the first time they played. I think it was more Verrett making a play and peeling off his own receiver. I don't think it was that bad of a decision by Goff. But if he's able to limit bad turnovers like that, there's no reason they shouldn't win. I think him, and then obviously the receiving core of Kupp and Woods. If they're able, I think they have a significant advantage over whoever's covering them. Going into the last game, I was extremely impressed with Jamar Taylor because
yeah, absolutely.
I was going in, I was like, this is going to be an easy Rams win. They got two of the best guys that can run out of the slot in the entire league, because Kupp and Woods, it's another thing. They're very versatile. They can line up all over. And I was like, Quan's out, or Kwan's out. They're going to, just bolt these guys up. Yeah. And Jamar ended up playing really well. So I think that those guys need to kind of demonstrate how good they truly are and the potential that they have. And then for the defensive side of the ball for them, it's definitely Aaron Donald. And it's definitely, definitely Ramsey. Those are two guys for sure, I'd say. But I think Leonard Floyd is another one. If the 49ers are diverting so much attention to Donald, I think that Floyd has a huge chance rushing from the outside, whether it's on Schooley on the left side or it's on McGlinchey on the right side. I think he has a huge chance to have a big game. And I hope that, Mike and Justin are able to rise to the occasion. But Floyd has been very good this year, so he's another person that I would say would be a key for them. If he's able to get a couple pressures and register a sack, it's going to be a long day for the 49er offense.
Yeah, for sure. I'm totally with you on that. I mean, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, those guys are going to be – they could have monster games. They could have lackluster games for their skill levels. So we'll have to see what happens there. But obviously two key guys to watch for this game, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. And to finish off the stream, let's get to score predictions. I want to hear from you first, Jordan. What you got?
All right. I'm going to go 31-17 Rams.
31-17. Great minds think alike. That's exactly what I got. 31-17 Rams. I don't expect the Niners to score much because of the Rams defense and the firepower that they have. But I do think the Rams offensive firepower is definitely superior than the Niners. So I think that's going to be the X factor to this game, and that the Rams will take the crown here. And the season series will be 1-1. So yeah, should be a very entertaining game to watch. You got any final thoughts, Jordan?
No, I just, like I said, I think just the main thing, I know I've said it a couple times, that we could be totally wrong just because it's a divisional game. The Rams are more talented and they are more healthy, so they should win this game handily, but I would not be surprised at all if the 49ers are able to hang in there and, maybe even upset them. But I just hope anyone watching this that gets, reads too much into that understands that it's a matchup thing and it's a divisional opponent thing. It is not a talent thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I worry is that the 49ers somehow pull out this game and then people are convincing themselves that this is a playoff team again. The 49ers aren't making the playoffs this year.
I think the dream's over for that. So yeah, I mean, just ride along with it. Just see how it goes. Just ride the train, stay loyal. I think Nothing But Niners is the channel that says this. It's like anticipate pain, remain, or it's like something like that. I forget what it is, but they say something like that. But yeah, something like that they say. But hey, man, just stay loyal, keep fighting, keep enjoying everything we got here. So yeah, man. Jordan, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you coming. Yeah, for sure, man. Anytime. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to upload stream clips on Sunday, so make sure to stay tuned to that. If you want to rewatch it, make sure to do it. I didn't get Jordan's Twitter handle up at the beginning, so let me put it up now. His Twitter handle is @splash_cousin. Make sure to follow him there. Big Niners fan, another Niners account. Gotta make sure to follow that, so make sure to follow him there. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Go Niners.